now. So that means we are officially beginning. Okay, I love it. People are saying hi out there. We have Mega, Quebec, Somerville, St. John, New Brunswick. Yeah, I bet you guys had some snow out those way. Perfect. Amazing. Okay. So we're going to get started. It's 1 o'clock. I know you folks want to be on time. You're busy people. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Stephanie Gellman, and I'm the product manager of online leads with RLP Canada. And I'm so excited to have Bobby Puim as my co-host today. Okay, we have an exciting and informative webinar. Bobby is with Playbook and REC Canada, an investor-focused Royal LePage National Chairman's Club team who's been in the top 3 in GCI and units in each of the past 5 years, with 70% of their transactions in the past 3 years in the investor segment. Hey, Bobby.
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so today, Bobby and I specifically, we're going to talk about the custom nurturing investor focused smart campaigns available for your use in RLPSPHERE. Okay. Gonna try to stick to an hour. There's a lot to cover, but I think we will make it in an hour. And, I just want to start off with a little bit of a preamble and why it's important to care about these campaigns. Okay. And the fact is because the average close rate for online leads is less than 1%. We know this. Okay. But with an effective system in place, you can achieve a 4 to 6% close rate and automate so much of the effort it takes to close those leads. And if you're anything like me, you want to earn more and work less, right? So pay attention today because what we're going to show you is how you can achieve those kind of results by leveraging a system that you already have. Okay. Now, there's really kind of 2 people I think that are in the audience today. There's people who are not yet using a CRM, and then people who are using some other CRM. Okay. Well, if you're not using one yet, you ought to adopt rlpSPHERE right away because it's at your fingertips and it's great. Okay. If you're already using another CRM, I'm not going to try to convince you to stop using that. Okay. That's not what I'm going to try to do. I get it. Some of you have been using one for a long time and it really works for you. But consider using rlpSPHERE to scrub your new leads. And then when they show that they're serious, move them into your main system. Okay, so keep that in your mind as you go through this seminar and really any seminar about using rlpSPHERE. You can use it to scrub leads. There's a lot of good reasons to do that, and we'll talk about it today. But consider the fact that all of your leads are automatically entered there anyways, so you don't have to do much. The smart campaigns that we've created are already in there. They integrate. So much of it is done for you. Okay. So for me, it's kind of, it makes a lot of sense to just use what's at your fingertips. Okay. So specifically, this is what Bobby and I are going to talk about. We'll go over the new website, the kind of leads you can receive. We'll talk a little bit more about Sphere and why you want to use an automated nurturing campaign. Okay, we'll go into the specifics of the ones that we created for you. We will touch on building a custom campaign. And I say touch on because that in and of itself is its own session. And I will be hosting a session in March about that. Okay. So today I will briefly kind of touch on it. Then we'll have some time for Q&A and some next steps, sort of homework, whatnot, and some resources that we're going to send to you. Okay. Okay. So, Bobby, can you tell us a little bit about RLP Investors Edge? Because this is sort of one of your babies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly what I was going to say. This is sort of our pride and joy over here at Playbook. So rlpInvestorsEdge.ca is sort of a first of its kind to everybody, and obviously exclusive to Royal LePage. It is a website, not unlike RLP .ca as a whole, okay? But this one here is then going to highlight all sorts of investor metrics that are very specific to any one property. You have the ability to then sort through what we sort of define as the missing middle in real estate investment. So that would be sorting through resale opportunities that have 1 to 4 doors, so they don't broach into the commercial realm. This would all be residential, like real estate and the associated financing along with it. They don't broach over, I believe that there's a handful of metrics, like over a certain price that would fall into carriage trade. I have mentioned already, it doesn't broach into the commercial component. It very specifically is what RLP Investors Edge, the masterclass, is working towards teaching and having you learn all about. There is also the pre-construction component, again, sort of a first of its kind, known units that are available. We're trying to add more and more every day, but also being showcased with investor metrics, things like your potential ROI, things like potential cash flow, the way that this could in fact perform for you as an investor version of an end user that somebody can be searching on and shopping on right now. And the real benefit to this is that it's actually gamified to a degree as well, so people can move some things around. It's a very sticky type website where all of a sudden they're spending just a little bit longer on the page. They're gleaning a little bit more from what our expertise on residential income property generation actually is. And then they're connecting directly with you, the individuals that have taken the masterclass itself. So it's our pride and joy because we see it kicking off already. We're very proud of what we've been able to put forward in the website itself. And I think that you're going to see more and more of how you can leverage it in our talk today.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, you know, to dovetail on that, really, you talked about some of the qualifications for MLS listing. So I guess we don't really need to get into that, right? It's the residential ones, it's not commercial. Also, nothing that's like a vacant land. And I believe there's a minimum price as well. I think 100,000, but I might be wrong. I know nothing below a certain value
Yeah,
as
you're dead
well.
on with the 100,000. We wanted to avoid putting any random parking spots that were for sale in downtown Vancouver into the mix, right?
That's true. That could be a parking spot. Okay. And then you talked about some of the pre-construction things. Now, assignments. Can you explain that one?
Absolutely. So an assignment listing is actually going to come directly from you, the agent, right through your RLP network. That's where you're going to be able to list handfuls of these things. An assignment is effectively the selling of the contract, the paperwork between that initial pre-construction acquisition and when you actually go to then register that particular property. There's a big in between that some investors, right, choose to sort of flip that paperwork, if you will. So if you happen to
Mm.
have sold some of the pre-construction stuff, this isn't pre-construction, and then 4 years later you're reconnecting with your individual client. This is a way for you to be able to leverage this particular system in order to say, listen, it could be a good time to flip that paperwork. Let's explore what that is and create another potential touch point or conversation point around this. And we've got a distribution network on the Royal LePage InvestorsEdge.ca site as it is already pre-built for you to be able to get these out in that new investor focused way. So that's what an assignment is.
Amazing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then lastly, we can get seller leads, and these are people that come from our AVM tool. Gives people an estimated property value, and then it asks folks if they would like to follow up with an agent. And the thing that I love about our AVM tool over any that I've seen anywhere else is it doesn't force people to register because I've seen that a lot, and I feel duped almost when I fill one of those out. I'm like, I want to know my home worth, and then they say, "Oh, give me your email, then we'll contact you and tell you." But I like how ours gives people the info and then asks them if they'd like to follow up with someone. So that's a seller lead you could get from the site. And then agent search leads, right? These guys, amazing. Okay, so everyone who completes the masterclass training, they get a beautiful profile featured on the find an agent results on our site. Okay, where potential clients can connect with them through a contact me lead form. We see one here with Karen in the upper right corner. Karen, if somebody comes to the site and they search for an agent with investors specialists, in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Newfoundland, they're going to find our friend Karen. And then they can fill out the contact agent form, send her a direct message. And we call this kind of lead a designated contact me lead. And that's a great lead to get. You can also receive a distributed kind of lead. Okay. And that's from people who come to the homepage and they do a general search and they ask the system to pair them up with an agent. Okay. Um, Two main principles to closing more leads: fast response and continuous nurturing. Okay. And Smart Leads is this amazing, amazing system that combines technology and best practices that enables people like you, agents like you, to close more leads. Okay. Um, Note this email and phone number on this slide. Okay. This is super crucial because this is from where your leads will be sent. Okay, so make sure you save it to your phone number or save it to your phone, assign a special ringtone to it, so you never, ever, ever miss one. And okay, um, once you accept a lead, it automatically becomes a contact in your sphere. When it integrates with the smart campaigns, it helps you follow up right in the right doses. And that's what Bobby and I are going to talk about. Okay. Now, Sphere, if you haven't delved into it yet, I really need you to think and realize how amazing it is. Bobby, how hard is it to reply quickly to a lead?
To reply quickly to the
Yeah,
lead,
like right now, if you got a lead, could you answer it
it is
quickly?
the it is the easiest thing I have ever done in my life.
Yeah,
It is that easy.
yeah, yeah. What's amazing is, you know, like right now, for all you guys know, Bobby is replying to leads while he is presenting. And you know why? Because he uses smart campaigns. And we know that quick reply is so crucial because I hate to break it to you, your consumers and everyone in this world, people are impatient. They are impatient these days. They want a fast reply from an online form when they complete one. And even if they don't want to answer you, they want an online form. Okay. If they don't get a quick reply, they're going to fill another one, another one, another one. So that's why people who want to close more leads use smart campaigns with a automated instant reply because it satisfies people's desire to respond to quickly. Okay. Now, that's going to help you with some leads, but most of people, they're not going to reply to you. Bobby, do you know, what would you say, like what percent of folks would reply to that first message that you
It's
send out?
actually really interesting. And I think that if you flipped to the next slide in our little deck, right, you would see sort of why I would say this. But I've noticed a huge uptake in just the way that people are responding immediately. I'm going to tell you that we're close to like 35% with the REC Canada team at the moment. And it's one very strategic thing that we've managed to put into not just our own smart campaigns, but when we worked with Playbook to build them with Royal LePage, we added this very specific thing. It's an immediate text message when we receive a phone number to ask how that individual would like to be responded to. We actually had another use case happen over the weekend. I had somebody come through via the smart campaigns. It asked, "This is amazing. Happy to be working with you on this. I'd like to get your property analyzer. How best would you like to be communicated with? Phone, email, text? Which one is best for you?" And within 10 seconds, it's a real thing. This individual texted me back and said, "Phone call, please." So
Wow.
it can happen. Does it happen every time? No, I'm going to tell you right around the 35% of the time it's happening with the system that we've deployed that you have available to you inside of Sphere when it comes to these very specific campaigns, but it works. And we don't just leave it there, obviously, right? So on that next slide, these campaigns are built out over 180 days, which is our castle compliance allowance when somebody is coming in across the board, right? We have the ability to connect with these people in just so many ways. It's like, go back to Stephanie's question. I'm going to tell you that you are going to get more and more people responding immediately because of the way these are designed than you've ever seen before. We'll stop there.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's say, somewhere between 10 and 30% of folks respond to a message, the first message, maybe. Um, that means the rest don't respond. Okay. And I get that staying persistent is hard. especially when people don't respond to you. You feel like a pest and you want to just stop reaching out. You're like, oh my God, I'm annoying this person. They're not answering me. I'm going to stop sending messages. Or you just run out of things to say. So you're just going to stop saying stuff. Okay. But the fact is that some leads are going to take months to convert, like to reply. And that's why these automated drips, these smart campaigns, these action plans, these things work to help you get the leads that want you to answer quickly and they'll interact, early. And then the other people that need a little bit longer, you will have them. And that's why we see, okay, so the average close rate for online leads in real estate is 1% or less. And it's not because the leads are garbage. Okay. I'm going to tell you, it's not the lead's fault because I see it across Royal LePage, for example. When average agents do the average thing, and that's, not optimized lead conversion behaviors, will say, they close 1% or less. But the same leads, when they get a little extra love and attention, they close at 4 to 6% range, sometimes even higher. I know some people that are closing at 8%. I met one agent that closed like 13%, and that's amazing. Okay. And that's because these things help you stay on top of everything. Um, Okay, amazing. Now, I love there was a question in here in the chat about is there going to be French of everything? And that goes really nicely with the next slide. So this is the name, these are the names of the current campaigns that we have made for all of you. And as you can see, Alain, ils sont tous en français aussi. So we've done everything in French too. Everything that we've created in English, we have in French. Okay. So in a nutshell, we've created 8 campaigns, 4 in French, 4 in English. And these are for your residential income property leads as well as pre-construction leads. Okay. And you don't even need to tell them what language your client speaks because it will automatically apply the right campaign based on if they come from the French Royal LePage site or the English site. And that works for all campaigns that we've made, okay? Not even just the investors ones, but other ones. Okay, so we've made all these for you. They are all turned on for you. They are all going to automatically apply to your contacts. You don't have to do anything. Now, coming soon will be ones for sellers and for assignment leads. Okay. Now, I want you to note one thing that these are all for, these are not for your designated leads. Okay. So I had somebody ask about receiving leads and I'm sorry, I kind of went through it quickly, the different lead types. But within the different kinds of listing inquiries, we have ones that we call designated, and those are your listings. And then we have ones called distributed. And those are represented by other organizations, other real estate companies that we get through the MLS feed. So all of these campaigns will apply to the distributed ones. Okay. One's for your listing. I'm Stephanie, the agent. I have a listing on the site. They will have the default buyer campaign applied to them. Okay. They won't have the specific investors one. Okay. And if you want to have the specific investors ones applied to it, you will want to make some changes. I'll go over that quickly today and in detail next month. Okay. And like I said, the sellers and assignments are coming soon. Okay. So, yeah, let's go over general what the residential income property campaign contains, because these are the ones that are available for you right now, and they're the ones that you will use the most. Bobby, can you tell me about some of this content and why it's just such gold? Because Bobby is part of our expert who helped us create all this beautiful stuff.
Thank you for that plug as well. But listen, this took a village to get right. And this went everywhere from all the things that any one agent taking the RLP Investors Edge Masterclass is receiving and all the way through to distribution. We really do pride ourselves on where that education meets that opportunity. And this is the exact point where the rubber hits the road from the opportunity perspective. So like I mentioned before, somebody's going to come into your sphere. They are going to receive an automatic or automagic, as Stephanie always calls it, text message, email straight away that acknowledges exactly what they have inquired about, coming directly from you so that you can then just be a little bit ahead of the game here. I'll go back to my example from the weekend. That individual requested a phone call from me, but this system gave me a chance to do two things at once. It was make sure that I was in front of this potential client from the jump. I didn't have to do anything. I've got it set up in my sphere to make sure that I was all over this thing. And at the exact same time as they were responding to me, I was already researching what the property was. So I knew exactly what they were looking at because it comes through in your sphere payload, if you will. It becomes a part of their profile. I then understood exactly what they were looking at, and I started in on one of my property analyzers because about 20 minutes later, it's going to send an email saying over the next 24 hours, I'll have a property analyzer for you. And even if somebody didn't respond in any way, shape, or form, right, these campaigns will continue on offering that type of value. So a real estate action plan, doing a property analyzer for a different property type, perhaps, and all the way through to that 181st day when we lose castle compliance in theory on each one of these individuals. From start to finish, this is going to mimic exactly what you've learned inside of the masterclass itself. And it's just going to put you at the forefront to be able to do, like I mentioned before, two or even three things at once. So anybody not using this, I hate to do this on a nationally televised webinar, but you are crazy. You're crazy not to be using a system of this nature that allows you to do this much in the same place every time.
Bobby, I love it. Well, see, you can say that. You can because you use it, right? You know that it works. We started, what was that, 8 months ago? We started the A/B testing because you
Yes.
weren't sure, right? And you said, okay, Stephanie, I'm going to see if what you've created actually works. Our other campaigns before we even made these investor ones, right? Because we have other campaigns that we've made for your regular leads, and those are just fabulous. Okay, but anyways, we're gonna go off on a tangent. Let's stay focused. Okay, so let's talk about how it works, right? So um, Stephanie, the agent, gets a lead. Let's say his name is Leonard. Okay, so I accept the lead. Moments after I accept it, becomes a contact in my Sphere CRM. I didn't have to do anything. Automatically, it goes in there, right? Because I've activated the smart campaigns. Well, actually, I didn't even have to. They're already activated. My lead gets this lovely message. Hey, Leonard. Hi, Leonard. Thanks for your inquiry on Royal LePage's RLP InvestorsEdge.ca. I'll be in touch shortly. Do you prefer to connect over email, text, or a phone call? Stephanie Gellman, Royal LePage Brokerage. Perfect. Okay. Now, next, what we want to do, simultaneous, okay, to my lead, getting that intro message, Smart Leads and rlpSPHERE is sending me emails with their details, okay? The one from Sphere is a kind of a short summary, and that's this first one here. The one from Smart Leads has full details, including previous properties that they've looked at on Royal LePage. Okay, I don't know if any of you folks have paid attention to that. If you've ever gotten a Smart Lead before, you can see, I think it's called previous, I can't remember what it's called, history. And it shows you all the different properties they've looked at. That's a good clue. Okay, anyways, what's important to know, both of these have a button, right, that brings you right into your Sphere CRM with one click. So what you want to do, what I do, accept the lead, my lead gets that message, I get this email, I open up one of them, it doesn't matter which one, I click and I jump into my Sphere CRM. I look at my contact, okay, and I'm going to jump in their timeline, see that first auto message that he just got, right? And then look at my upcoming task. Now, my upcoming task is a phone call. Bobby, can you explain what the point is of this phone call and some of the contents, please? And thank you.
Absolutely. I sort of define this as an initial discovery call, but with all of the information that we're able to gather from what the payload of that, user profile coming inbound is, the things like that they're looking at, what property exactly they inquired about. where from the site they came from, right? Where in the world they may even be is part of that payload that comes through. So I can glean a lot from there. And if I use my example again from the weekend, I also knew that my individual lead wanted to speak on the phone. This gave me the opportunity to then introduce myself and my expertise in the exact realm that I believe this person is looking for. This one happened to be a BRRRR method, an income generating property. So I was able to then dive down into that specific listing and see if they were seeing the same things that I was seeing when I looked at the property itself. Right? I wanted to explain what the property analyzer was and how I was going to build this out for them over the next 24 hours in order for them to see what I see about this. And what I think that you'll actually notice when it comes to this, it's a more refined call immediately. They already kind of know what I'm going to send them to a degree. I've explained more of it, and now they've got an expectation of delivery from me, which is amazing. They're tethered to me in a new and kind of different way, right? I want to make sure, though, that I'm not just looking to sell through here. And I think that anybody, again, who's taken the masterclass understands the value of a real estate action plan and bringing them in for that reap, really ensuring that their goals are aligned. And you're just having a different conversation all of a sudden with somebody who has simply come into your world via a system that was seamless. So that's what you're going to find when you're leveraging what this system is that these individuals are going to come in more refined in general. The proof is in the pudding. You are going to be able to have a different level of conversation from the start of your relationship with these individuals, and you're going to be able to win more of their trust because you are delivering upon the things that you now know how to do from the masterclass itself. That's what these initial calls end up being very quickly.
Absolutely. You're being much more of a consultant than a salesperson, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a salesperson, but I think in this manner and everything that I've learned from the masterclass and the way that folks will work with their clients is it's like a win-win for everybody, right? And it's exciting for the clients because everyone loves to talk about their own goals and their future and their plans, and you're going to help them make more money. So that's super exciting.
That's so well said. When you become that trusted consultant in real estate, you're making yourself everybody's first call. You're no longer just an agent, and I don't mean that to be disparaging, but what I
Mhm.
do mean is now they know that you being their first call means that something is going to be delivered upon because you're doing it here. So whether you need a plumber for your next place and they know that about you and your network all of a sudden, whether they need a property analyzer on two new places because they've been searching while you were getting a hold of them with your automagic system, right? All of those things can be true all at once when you're leveraging the tools that you've got in front of you.
Perfect. Okay, so if your call was successful, like you actually connected and spoke with them, you want to go into the CRM and update their status to active, okay? Because if they reply to one of the auto messages, the system will do that for you, but the system won't know if you connect on the telephone, okay? You need to physically go in and push the button, and you can do it in two spots. You can do it from their timeline, okay? And it's sort of a top little ribbon, and you just click, or you can do it from the front view, the first page of your CRM, and you can just click and change that. Okay, so you want to make sure that you do that because changing the status from active to new lead causes the cascade of effects of removing the campaign. Okay, I'll talk about a bit more about that later. Okay, so the next thing that happens, assuming you did not connect on the phone, right? You got a voicemail or something. Then 5 minutes later, the system sends out this lovely email. This is one of the ones that is a templated piece created by our Royal LePage marketing department. Bobby, what do you think about these templated pieces that we have as part of the campaigns?
Again, I love them. We worked really hard on these things. We try to put ourselves into the investor's shoes. try to showcase that we know what their journey is like, even before they understand components of what that journey may be. That's why I believe that allowing these things to trigger is simply going to get you to that point where they're more ready to work with you in some way, shape, or form. I think, Stephanie, you always have an interesting statistic, something like 80% of sales happen after the seventh contact point. It's something of that nature,
Mm,
right? Where allowing for these to trigger and go out the door just means that you're always sort of at the top of their inbox, that you are top of mind to them all of a sudden when it comes to the way that they think about investor focused real estate and perhaps real estate at all. So that's why I love what these things are doing in the background. I also don't really have to lift a finger. These are triggering and they're just going based on a particular cadence that we know works. So allow for the system to do what it's going to do, and all of these are going to head out the door in just such a timely and instinctive way that that people really react well to them.
mm-hmm. And you don't see it in this because this is the top, but at the bottom of all of these has a beautiful agent signature with your photo, whatever you have as your headshot in your RLP profile. Also, all your social links. So everything that you put in your RLP profile, if you have an Instagram and a LinkedIn and all those different websites, make sure that you update all that stuff in your profile because it all feeds into this. And then it looks like you've hired some professional person to create these beautifully templated pieces, right? So it elevates how you look in their eyes. Okay. So sprinkled in between these kind of automated messages are things like text messages that are, simpler, and then some emails that are kind of simple as well. So I think Bobby was mentioning one about alerts, right? So there's one message. Hi, Leonard, I'm going to send you email alerts on new investment properties that come to market. They will be similar to your initial property inquiry. I'm happy to adjust the search criteria if you need. Let me know what you think. Stephanie Gellman, Royal LePage Brokerage. So that's an auto message that goes out, and then you will be tasked to set them up on the search alerts. Okay, that's not going to happen automatically. That's something for you to do in one of your checklists of things to do. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a bunch of examples. We won't bother reading them. Then some more beautifully templated ones. Okay, you can go in and you can preview them all yourself if you feel the need and the urge. Okay, this is one really cool thing about Sphere that I want to point out for folks that I don't know if you know about. When you go into your contacts timeline, you can see which messages they have opened. You can see what time and date they've opened. And I can see, for example, that this person opened my email, the same email twice. Okay, this guy is interested. And then they opened my next email. Okay, so this kind of insight is huge because it gives you a reason to reach out, talk about the email content. Like clearly this is interesting them, right? Right. Okay. Now, I said before about automatically updating if you connect over the phone. Now, the point of all these smart campaigns for new online leads are to elicit a response. We want to get people talking to us. I talked about how it's hard to respond quickly, right? Bobby could be saying yes to leads. I could be saying yes to leads right now, and they're getting all that beautiful auto message. And they're not going to go out and fill out other forms because they have been satisfied. Um, Most of them will probably ignore us, though. Right? And we need the campaign to stay persistent because persistence is hard, especially when people don't respond. But when they do respond, the system will update them automatically to actively. It removes the smart campaign. It adds in another one, and it's just called a weekly check-in. It doesn't send them anything. It just kind of pokes you and reminds you to stay on top of them and to connect with them once a week. Okay. Let's see here. I see a question in the chat that's kind of relevant, so I'm going to answer it now. And it says, if I send an email directly from RLP Gmail, will it also show in RLP Sphere if they open the email? And Christian, you are able to integrate your RLP mail. So there's a button, I think it's in the upper right corner of the sphere, where if you push that button, you can integrate your Royal LePage mail to the sphere, and then I think you will have that sort of visibility. Otherwise, you will need to send the message directly from the sphere to be able to see if they've opened it.
You're
Okay.
dead on, Stephanie. The moment that you tether either to be fair, your Outlook or your Google settings, RLPers, we're all on Google. Like that's what our RLP email addresses are, or Google Workspaces. So when you connect that, it will give you complete visibility, not just to your emails, but also to your calendars and your appointments that are being booked as well, right into your sphere, so that it can create tasks for you to follow up on those things as well. Great call. Great call.
It's a really good idea to integrate it, and there's all kinds of training sessions about that and the different benefits for that. Okay, so assuming that the lead hasn't replied to any of the texts and emails and my attempted phone calls over 6 months, on the last day, on day 180, they'll be sent this final message, right? And we do it for 6 months for Canada anti-spam legislation compliance, right? So they're sent this last message saying, I know I've been persistent, but I want to help with your real estate needs. This is my last attempt to reach you. Feel free to browse more listings and set yourself up on a custom search alert on my website. Please visit. And then I have a link to my RLP Sphere website. Okay, now this is a really good message to use because I'm not allowed to reach out to them anymore. Consent has expired. But if they go and sign up on my site, then that reinitiates the consent. That gives like sort of a new round, so to speak. So you want to invite people to stay, like maybe you're not ready now, but maybe in a year you'll be ready. Stay in touch. Check out my site. Okay. Okay, so how to find the campaigns that we made for you, right? Because I'm sure you're all going to want to do this. You might even be doing this right now, looking on another screen. So you go in the sphere, you go to marketing, smart campaigns, and type the word invest into the search field. And then hit the little magnifying glass, and you're going to see all the investors smart campaigns. The ones in French, as a reminder, they start with RLPFR. Okay, you want to make sure that they are all turned to red. That means they're turned on. They should be on by default, but I always think it's a good idea to double check because you never know. So go in there, make sure that these guys are all turned on. Okay, cool. Okay, now we went over the content of the residential income property campaign. The pre-construction one is quite similar. I said before, a seller one's coming up, as will one for assignments. Okay, there's two more kinds of leads and campaigns to discuss, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to do it quickly though, because like I said, building campaigns is not something we can do in 2 seconds. So we're going to devote a whole session to it. So this is just going to be a little overview. Okay, so let's talk about the leads that you can get from your agent profile, as well as the leads that you can receive from the general find an agent form of the website. Okay, I said before, we're not making campaigns for you. These are ones that I want you to create because, I can't make it for you. You're your own unique, special person. Okay. So your first step is figuring out content. Your content will consist, I recommend, like we do, a mix of text messages and emails, some short emails, some kind of bigger templated pieces. Bobby, in a brief moment or so, could you advise on some content that you think is, stuff that people need to or ought to really put in something that introduces themselves? Any hot tips?
Great question. What we do is try to enlighten to exactly who we are and what our focuses are. We do this with the REC Canada team, and it's funny because like I've got 35, 50 agents at different points, and everybody's unique in their own way. So we actually sit down as part of onboarding to make sure that they're welcome to the family. I do this, right? That's what we call our series here. But our welcome to the family campaigns are actually individualized for each one of the agents. I want everybody to know your experience in real estate. I want them to know what makes you passionate about real estate. I want the individual lead to understand that they've landed with somebody who has not just some expertise in real estate in their own way, but the backing of the REC Canada team and all of our collective experience as well. So maybe that's a little bit more about exactly what we do, but I think that if you took that as a baseline and sort of said, well, these are the things that somebody has to know about me, these are the things that I want somebody to know about me, the sort of nice to haves, but the needs and wants as well. And it's from there that you're going to expand upon what that little email series is for yourself. So take it seriously, because people commonly work with people that they know and like. And the more they know and the more they like you, the better. So this could be personal too, just who you are and what you're doing, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's a really good idea to let people know why they should trust you, right? Let people know why, in what way are you an expert? Because purchasing real estate is probably the biggest purchase most people will make. So I would wager, that trust is probably one of the biggest things. So they need to, yeah, really believe in your expertise. Okay. Okay. So once you've figured out your content, and like I said, next session we'll go more into details. Um, I recommend that you organize it. Now, this is just my recommendation, but I love spreadsheets. I would suggest you start throwing stuff in spreadsheets to just figure out your timing and your cadence, because it's a good way to um, let yourself know if this makes sense before you commit to building it in the system. Okay. So once you figured out what you want to make, these are essentially the steps, okay, to making a campaign. Now, if you're a seasoned user of Sphere, you could probably just look at these directions and run with it. If you're not a seasoned user, don't worry. Like I said, March 10, okay, mark your calendar, March 10, 2 p.m. I will show you step by step, click by click, how to make the campaign, okay? And I'm going to send you the Zoom invite for that when I send you the recording of today's session and the resources. So, um, yeah, okay. Now, that was for the contact me leads. Okay. Now let's talk about designated leads. Okay. Because every listing, um, the hang on, sorry. Woo, take a step back. By default, listings either from regular royallepage.ca or the investorsedge.ca, they will have the non-investor specific smart campaign applied to them. Okay. And the reason this is done instead of having the default investor campaign applied to them is because any listing that fits that criteria could be featured on the site. And the agents that have those listings, they might not necessarily have taken the master class like you folks did. Okay. So they might not, and they most certainly would not understand the tasks like creating a pro forma and a real estate action plan. So, what we've done is that these campaigns, they're good, they're great, they're fine. All you have to do is turn them on if they're not already on, okay, to use them for your investor listing leads. But if you want to take things to the next level and you want investor specific campaigns applied to your investor listing leads, okay, basically what you can do is you can clone the ones that we made and then change the source to designated. Now, if this sounds like, a foreign language to you, don't worry. I'm going to go details. I'll show you the details of this on the March 10th session. Okay. So I just want you to know that like everything's covered, and we're going to show you how to customize things in my next session. Okay. So remember at the very, very start, I said, if you are someone who uses another CRM, I'm not going to try to convince you to stop. Okay. Um, I still feel that way. Like if you like it, use it, right? But like I said before, with all this integration that happens, all this automagical stuff, I really think you ought to consider using the sphere to filter your new Royal LePage leads that go in there already that have these campaigns. And once the people start showing that they're interested, okay, and that they say, yeah, they want to buy or sell soon, then okay, move them into your current CRM, your main CRM. And if they maybe interact, but they say, well, I'm not quite so ready, you could assign client for life. That's a beautiful campaign. That's a great one that you can have to keep in touch while people are figuring things out. Okay. So I strongly recommend that you think about doing that. Wow, amazing. We are wrapping it up on time. We have 15 minutes left. We have a little bit more content, but before we get to more content, which is kind of, last steps. I just want to see if there's any questions that people have. I saw a few things in the chat. I feel like we got to everything in the chat, but let me just see here. I had some people ask if they need to do anything or if they're already working. Like I said before, all the campaigns, they should be turned on, but double check. Um, let's see. All right, folks, I'll give you a few moments to think up questions and throw them in the chat while Bobby and I get to wrapping things up. Okay, so Bobby, what do you think about Sphere and the heavy lifting?
Yeah, I can't believe that you used my picture. That's amazing.
I was
I
spying on you
appreciate
at the
it.
gym.
Uh, Listen, all I can ever do is harken back to some of the experience that I've had with it. And this weekend is literally the perfect example of this exact thing. I was able to get straight into a property analyzer because the system really did do all of the heavy lifting. It responded on my behalf. It took in information that I didn't have, but knew that I would need eventually. And by the time I was actually ready to connect, I had done two, three, even four things at once. Um, it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that you're going to have something work that seamlessly. And like I can confidently tell everybody on the call and all Royal LePagers and beyond that this does that. And it does it really, really well. So just know that you've got not the expertise of, just Playbook or just our team over here, but also the entire expertise of everybody at Royal LePage. Thousands of hours went into these types of things, and they will simply enrich your business by doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Anybody that's looking to make a switch to Sphere that isn't on it already, I'm an open book. I'd be happy to book calls with people to have you work through some of the challenges that we worked through initially. For those of you that aren't going to use it and are going to use something else, I love what Stephanie said about leveraging what you have available to you here, doing it a certain way, even just learning to make that a part of your process before you move these people along to something that you're a little bit more comfortable with. But always do keep in mind, everybody, like she said as well, the best CRM that you're going to use is the one that you actually use. We just happen to be big proponents of this because it will do the heavy lifting for you. We're that confident in being able to say it.
I love it. Exactly. Because, it's important for everyone to remember most of your leads will not close, and a heck of a lot of them will just ignore you. So it's so beneficial to use a system to sift out the good from the bad. Save yourself the heartache, right? Because we've created these things to do so much of the work for you. Okay. Next steps. Okay. So you learned today the game changing power of the smart campaign. So, like I said before, I will send you, I have a list, a lot of resources. Okay. Resources about smart campaigns, resources about online leads, best practices, the Zoom for next month's session that I'll be hosting about making custom campaign. Okay. And then as well as the recording of today's session. So if I'm not able to do that today, it'll be early tomorrow that I send you the whole package. Okay. But for you, there's some things that you can do right now to make your life better. So first off, save that number 647-930-5070. Save it, assign a special ringtone. Okay. Call it RLP leads, RLP investor leads. Okay. Make sure you have a phone number in your Royal LePage RLP network profile. okay, in the sell field, because not everyone does. And if you don't have one in that field, we cannot send you your leads via text, of course. And while you're in your profile, make sure you have an updated headshot. Okay. Make sure you have all your areas serviced, updated, because when I pointed out, for example, our friend Karen in Happy Valley Goose Bay, I come to the site. If she hadn't put that as her service area and I went to the site and looked for somebody, I wouldn't find anyone. Right. So make sure you have your service, your languages. If you speak a second language or a third or a fourth, put that in too, because people can search for you based on language specialty. Okay. Um, so everything from your RLP profile goes onto the Investor's Edge profile. Okay. It just gets a fancy treatment. So it matches that site. Okay. If you haven't finished the masterclass training, continue, right? Um, there's a Facebook group, okay? That's going to be one of the links that I send you. Participate in that. Participate in the Investors Edge community, okay? That's on the RLP, on the learning platform, right? Because that's somewhere where, like, if you have a question for Bobby, for example, you can throw it in there. If you have questions about a certain contact and, what to do with them. Preview the smart campaigns, okay? I showed you how to find them. Just type invest. Okay, you're going to sign up for the next webinar, of course. And then lastly, here is all of our contact info. Okay, so if you need to get in touch with Bobby, right, you can reach out to him at rlp.ie at brokersplaybook.com. If you need any kind of help with Sphere training, you want to reach out to our learning services department. Anything technology related, if something funny is on the website, I've had some people say to me, oh, well, why isn't my listing here? And what's okay, so you want to talk to help at royallepage.ca. You can reach out to me for general smart leads info. And then if you have specific questions like about lead availability in your brokerage, you want to talk to your manager or a leads administrator, however it's working at your specific location. Okay. Um, Amazing. Well, I don't see any questions. I guess that means we are so thorough that everyone is just like they're saturated with knowledge,
Yes,
and
yes.
we've left no stone unturned. Um,
As we commonly do, we're just too good at this point, right, Stephanie?
we are. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I want to thank everyone so much, especially you, Bobby. Thank you so much. It's always fun doing these together.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks again for having me. Please know that we're always here to help everybody. Like we said before, this is sort of our baby, our pride and joy, something that we took a lot of time and effort and expertise to build out. We want to make sure that it's being used for the betterment of all of our businesses. So when you're winning, we're winning. That's the whole collaborative structure of what Playbook and Royal LePage have created. So if we can help at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay.
Amazing. Okay, perfect, everyone. So, yeah, I will send you the recording and resources either later today or early tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.